third floor of the restaurant is about 50% closed, and then the other 50 or thereabouts is open to those lunches.
Okay, so.
Bring something then.
And we did talk about closing at a particular time. You know, you could put these retractable doors.
Come towards the end of the
Yes,
stage.
he said,
Probably should have then
I mean,
cautiously
it is
have
already
a square footage as floor area.
Well, I'm not saying it's not, that's not what I meant, it's not, maybe we should gears.
Yeah, but it's one of those tricky
Well, the
things.
face
I
of
wouldn't
it-
lean too heavily on it, you know,
So-
because we wouldn't want it to trigger.
1 to 2. Just, you know, and advertise it. Now, the question, and again, open to everyone.
You or me both.
I mean, the
Not- and if you're not
playgrounds,
a
right,
member-
that's
right,
right.
if
We've
you're
got,
not a
we're
member-
gonna have cornhole, we have cornhole, we have,
They know
one,
that.
two,
And
other,
the guys that are recruiting it.
lawn games.
I'm enjoying every minute of it.
My thing is, about the ones that
The
are
real
not,
plot,
trust me,
not the
there's a show,
sequels.
yeah, the Terry Robbins, History's Mistakes, and there were one of the ones was about, and it's funny, is we used to play at our state, and my cousin Richard, his brother, Tony, Billy was the old one.
Off-load the cars in the middle.
It's like real ones.
Yeah, this was a
So they
steel
condition
thing.
Yeah, it's still.
You know, Robbie hadn't went to the last second and ducked. He would have, he got
So did
crazy
you
blow,
show
where he had
that-
four stitches in his face.
So
Luckily,
what they said was
my
they were gonna
sister,
sister them
my
to
cousin,
different
was
site.
the yard, she
Drive
was
low and
6'10".
drive it over
He
to
chased
either
Billy around.
flatbed, which was two
20
cars,
minutes before
or single wide
pounded
one
Billy
at a
with a
time.
Manchester.
I did, this is a Porsche.
Face is still bleeding, man.
We had to show. Oh, you did Porsche Heinz.
Yeah.
It's not, no, Nelson and Pope did that.
Deal with
Yeah,
it.
that's
Yell,
We had to show,
yell,
that
he's
we
choking.
the vehicle carrier on site.
I was
And
thinking,
the
listen
trailer,
to
yeah.
this guy.
Good luck. That's a
We
big site.
did it. Yeah.
That's a big site.
They all are. They have to make it work.
I'm assuming that's not.
So, yeah, or like you were going with
Have me go first, too.
Okay, good.
I'm done, see you.
She showed up.
She shows up to see who's coming in, and she shows up.
Sorry.
Do I need?
I usually,
He looked at the.
sports on. You know what, maybe you kill time, I will go first, this one, and then go. Yeah. No.
Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Planning Advisory Board meeting of Thursday, April 16th, 2026. I'd like to first welcome a new board member, Michael Spinelli, who joins the board this evening, and I'd like to have Mike lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Secretary Byrne, please call the roll.
Certainly. Chairman Stanko?
Here.
Member DiLeonardo is absent. Member Tribuna is absent. Member Warner?
Here.
Member Castellane?
Here.
Member Spinelli?
Here.
Member Byrne is here. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. The format for the meeting includes a presentation from the applicant, and then there'll be questions and comments from the board members, and then any interested party may address the board regarding the application. And we ask that anyone who addresses the board to come forward and speak from the podium and state their name and address for the record. And we ask that only one person at a time speak so that they can get all the information recorded for the minutes. We have one agenda item this evening, 154 Broadway, Hicksville, New York, 11801. The applicant is seeking a site plan approval from the Planning Advisory Board in accordance with the town's site design standards. This site plan application proposes the redevelopment of the site to accomplish a mixed-use facility that is 3 stories in height and consists of 2 buildings separated by a driveway. The proposed Broadway building contains 4 retail units and a 2-story restaurant with 10 1- and 2-bedroom apartments distributed on the 2nd and 3rd floors. The proposed West Cherry Street building contains 20 1- and 2-bedroom apartments distributed on all 3 floors. In addition, there is underground parking and storage with additional parking on the ground floor and associated site improvements. The proposed use for the property is a permitted use pursuant to Chapter 246, Table 5.9.5.1 of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay. Secretary Byrne, do we have any correspondence on this application?
Yes, Chairman. We have a memo from the Zoning Division dated June 23rd, 2023, stating that the subject property located at 154 Broadway, Hicksville, New York, 11801, has a Nassau County Land and Tax Map designation of Section 11, Block 291, lots 30, 31, 38, 229, 231, and 233, and is located within the HD2 Hicksville Downtown Subdistrict on the Town of Oyster Bay zoning maps. We have a memo from the Department of Environmental Resources dated February 18th, 2026, recommending the adoption of a negative declaration for the purposes of seeker. We have a memo from the Code Enforcement Bureau dated June 27, 2023, stating that there are no open code cases on the subject property. Chairman, since this memo is dated, the Planning Division contacted the Code Enforcement Bureau this week, and there are open code cases for fire damage on Lot 30 and non-maintenance on Lot 38 for the subject property. We have memos from the town's Department of Public Works, Highway Division, dated April 3rd, 2026, and Engineering Division, dated June 30th, 2026, stating they have reviewed the site plans and have no objections. We have email correspondence from the New York State Department of Transportation, dated February 26, 2025, stating the submitted plans are acceptable. We have resolution number 10,646-26, adopted on March 26, 2026, from the Nassau County Planning Commission recommending local determination for this project. We have a memo from the Planning Division dated March 25, 2026, stating the required parking for the subject property is 86 parking spaces and 87 parking spaces have been provided. We have a memo from the town's planning and development consultant, Nelson Pope and Voorhees, dated April 16, 2025, stating that they have conducted a review in accordance with Chapter 246, Section 5.9, zoning for Hicksville Downtown, and Section 6, site plan review of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay, and is referring the site plan to the Planning Advisory Board for appropriate action. And we have the affidavit of sign posting and the affidavit of mailing from the applicant.
All right, thank you. And with that, we will entertain the application and the applicant.
Good evening, Chairman Stanko, members of the board. For the applicant, Tom Abadi, I'm an attorney with offices at 88 Sunnyside Boulevard in Plainview. And as the advertisement, as read by the chairman, recited, tonight's project is to redevelop my client's land that they owned in Hicksville. It's owned by Tariq and Omar Mahmood, father and son team. Tariq and his wife are with us here this evening. It's known as 154 Broadway. And the site is at the southwest corner of Broadway, which is New York State Route 107, and West Cherry Street. So this is south of the Long Island Railroad Station in Hicksville, north of Old Country Road, roughly directly across from the Town of Oyster Bay Hicksville Athletic Center. For years, it was home to Chroma Paint. Most people know it as the Chroma Paint property. If you've looked at our survey site plan, if we bring them up on the screen, you can see that this is an L-shaped property. It's got 184 feet of frontage on Broadway. It has over 300 feet of street frontage on West Cherry, and it possesses just over 35,000 square feet of lot area. So it has 0.81 acres of lot area, and it's wholly devoid of any contours. This, like much of Hicksville, is flat. It was also originally located in the CB zone, the Central Business District, but now it's part of our Hicksville overlay, the Hicksville Downtown District, and most specifically, we are in the HD2 zone. Under Section 246-5.9 of our code, the HD2 is known formally as the Hicksville Downtown Transition Subdistrict. And by definition, it allows for three-story buildings with a variety of uses, and classic mixed-use buildings, so retail over commercial, along primary roadway frontages. And that's what you're going to see tonight. We're proposing a mixed-use building along Broadway, our primary street frontage. The site now is presently improved with 3 dwellings and 2 separate and distinct parking lots. It's Mr. Mahmood's plan to raise, with a Z, the entire site and build anew. So what is it we're looking for? We're looking to erect 2 separate buildings on the site. The Broadway building, as I just mentioned, is going to be a classic mixed-use building. So it's going to have a footprint of just over 7,400 square feet and a total GFA of 22,674 square feet. Within that, 5,600 square feet will be devoted to retail uses. 4,400 square feet will be devoted to a restaurant, and then the balance, 7,730 square feet, will be for apartments, and they will be demised as follows. We'll have 10 apartments, 8 one-bedroom units, and 2 studios. Along Cherry, that's going to be the home to our 100% residential apartment building. That will have a footprint of 5,500 square feet and an overall GFA of 23,000 square feet. That is going to be home to 20 proposed apartments. So we're going to have 10 one-bedroom units, 9 two-bedroom units, and 1 studio. Notably, we provide all required off-street parking on site. As Mr. Byrne recited in the memo from zoning and planning, that we're required to have 86 stalls, we're providing 87. So we're overparked by 1 stall. Moreover, street parking is permissible and allowed not only along West Cherry, but on Broadway as well. So we can easily accommodate whatever trip generation these 2 uses are going to have. The manner by which we're providing that off-street parking is twofold. We're going to have surface parking, and we're going to have subterranean parking. So, I've got the site plan here. I know it's, yeah, thanks, Doug. Bring it up. So what we're doing here, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, is that we're having on the first floor, on the surface, 28 parking spaces. So we've got 18 running along the front of the apartment complex, thank you, and then another 10 across. Below, we're providing another 59 stalls. And that's going to be bifurcated such that the parking closest to the Broadway mixed-use building will be reserved for those patronizing or servicing the commercial components, just to make it easier, and so we have site flow. The manner by which cars, we can go back to the first site plan, thank you. We access the site. We have 2 access points. They're both 2-way drive aisles, and they're both on West Cherry. So our project professionals very wisely put that on West Cherry so we don't create a curb cut on Broadway, and we eliminate any vehicle conflicts whatsoever. Moreover, by not having a curb cut on Broadway, we're not impeding vehicle flow. So where are those access points? We have one all the way at the west end of our project, and Again, it's two-way drive aisle, both holds the minimum 24 feet pursuant to our design standards, and then one on the east side, again, two-way drive aisle, meets or exceeds the 24 feet across, which is part of our design standard. The drive aisle also exceeds the 24 feet for two-way traffic. So how do we get to the subterranean portion? Here, on the surface, you can see this ramp. Now, again, with kudos to our design professionals, I can't take credit for this, they put the ramp at the west end of the site. So what that does is it brings us to a point where we don't have cars parked on both sides. It brings us away, and then people exiting can immediately go out the western access point, and then out to Cherry Street, and then off to Broadway. Okay, my discussion of parking, I don't want that to obfuscate the fact that the HD2 seeks, and I quote, "to provide an active pedestrian environment," close quote. Which is why, and again with compliments to our project professionals, they've placed the mixed-use building right up to the lot line on the 107 frontage. And we have various pedestrian access points to get to the stores, which will be there, and to the restaurant. Because it is such a prominent corner, the architectural component is extraordinarily important. It's a beautiful design, but before I get into that, what I would like to do is just finish up with some site specifics. So I have our project engineer from North Coast Civil right here in Oyster Bay, Mr. Doug Castellano.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Doug Castellano from North Coast Civil, 39 West Main Street, Oyster Bay, New York. We were the civil engineers who prepared the site plan that's before you tonight. So just I'll quickly walk you through. I know Tom did a good overview of a lot of the site features, but again, it does have two-way access all the way around, two new curb cuts onto Cherry Street. There'll be new sidewalks along both frontages that allows for pedestrian access to both buildings, and then continuing along both street frontages. Because this site is along a New York State roadway, we did apply to the New York State DOT for their review of the project, and they ultimately granted their approval. Again, something that Tom touched on, the site is mostly flat. This is jumping into more of the grading and drainage. We're not proposing any major grade changes. The biggest grading is really just the excavation that will be for the subterranean parking. We are proposing all new drainage facilities. That's internal, and it'll be below the basement elevation. So it'll be fully retained from a runoff standpoint and meets and exceeds the town requirements for stormwater retention. Quickly touching on some of the utilities, so we'll have obviously new water, gas, electric, sewer. We did all the utilities will come off of Cherry Street, which is a good bonus. It is available, so we reached out to the service providers. That's the sewer district, the water district, and we did receive letters of availability for both those new utilities. We also took another step further, and we went and reached out to both the Hicksville Fire District and the Nassau County Fire Marshal. That's for emergency vehicle access. They both said and granted their approvals of this project for emergency vehicles accessing the site. God forbid there is that need for it. The last two things I just want to touch on quickly is landscaping and lighting. So there'll be all new perimeter landscaping around the parking areas and buildings where possible. We utilized a mixture of street-friendly and deciduous trees. There's a minimum requirement in planning that for every, I think it's 6 parking stalls that you provide, you have to put a street-friendly 4-inch caliper minimum deciduous tree. We actually exceed that requirement. 5 is required, we're adding 6. So again, we're really just trying to beautify this site as much as possible. And then along the frontages, you'll see a mix of perennials, just various flowers. We keep those plantings lower so there's no line of sight issues. And then in the back parts, which abut the neighboring parcels, will have a little bit more denser screening. You'll see arborvitaes and thicker evergreen shrubs proposed along those. And then just the last thing is the lighting. So we are proposing a number of light fixtures. There'll be 14 feet maximum. 14 feet is really for the light poles. There'll be 6 light poles, and then there's a number of building-mounted units. Those are basically just sconces. They shine directly down. Everything we're proposing is dark sky compliant and well within the village's code. We did provide photometrics, which again is required by planning, and we show that there's no light shed onto adjacent parcels. So we did spend a lot of time going through these items, and we believe that the site plan before you tonight should be satisfactory for the board's approval. Before I go to the rest of the team, if there's any site comments, I can address them. Otherwise, we'll let the architects show you some of the beauty of the buildings.
The only thing is, excuse me.
Sure.
Is West Cherry and Broadway, is that a controlled intersection? Is there a traffic
Yes,
light
there is
That's a signalized intersection.
There
yes.
is a
Yep.
traffic light
Yep.
there, okay. And, well, I don't know if this is the architectural end of
You
it.
want to just, yeah, we
But
could-
is there any proposal for like an outdoor area on the roof for the
Yes.
the tenants of the building?
Yes. So if you have no questions, Mr. Castellano, I'll proceed to our project architects.
I don't have any more for Mr. Castellano.
Any board members? Thank you, Mr.
Are you gonna
Castellano.
have EV parking in the basement?
Say that one more time?
EV parking or chargers?
No,
In
you
the lower
actually,
level?
so in New York State, you're not
You're not
allowed
allowed,
to.
yeah, so I
Yeah,
was
you're not
actually
allowed to
curious.
within a building. It has to be outside. And then I think there's even another step now that they're trying to push, which is a setback from the building. But we'll comply with any
Yeah.
county fire codes on that.
Just one more thing. I didn't really have a chance to go over the plans completely. The town requires what is technically called the California striping.
Yes.
Is that?
That's
Is there a
correct.
detail on your plans for that?
Yes, there is, there is a detail. We are doing the double stripe, which is,
Okay.
yeah, we are meeting that requirement.
Okay.
And we provide all requisite handicap stalls, both in surface and
Yep.
subterranean.
That's correct.
Right, thank you.
Did I read the sidewalks are going to be paved, pavers, or is it just regular concrete sidewalks?
So right now, they're actually concrete. I believe we're ripping those out and we're doing a paver.
You are doing
A
it.
paver frontage on each, so
Which
it'll be a
will
little bit nicer than
look
what's
good.
there.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Just one other thing.
Sure.
Did you say, I thought it was you, Mr. Ravati, that said that the shops on the first floor are going to have reserved parking
not
on
reserved parks.
grade?
Do you want to address that? We have an area closer where we encourage it to be reserved for people who are either patronizing or servicing the retail or restaurant components.
So-
In other words, we don't want the tenants taking up those spots.
Correct. But is there entry from Broadway to the restaurant and to the stores and also from the parking lot in the rear?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So-
Okay,
Yes.
you know.
And with respect to the basement parking, you can either walk upstairs, but we've also provided elevators at both ends of the subterranean parking,
Okay.
so people can get up and down. We want ease of movement throughout the site. Thank you, Mr.
Do the
Castellano.
residents have assigned parking?
I do not believe they do, right? We're not reserving tenant parking, are we? Okay, we're reserving a block of parking, and I'll bring up our project architects to go over those details with you. Thank you, Mr. Castellano. Before I do, one thing that I do wish to mention, I said that we comply, in fact, we exceed the off-street parking requirement. This project in toto meets or exceeds all zoning requirements. We don't need any relief whatsoever. The only thing we need at this point is the imprimatur of the Planning Advisory Board, but just be assured, we don't need to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for any relief. We've designed it to a T in compliance with the zoning code. So, with respect to the elevations and the architectural layout, I'd like to bring up both of our project architects, Mr. Noel Rogers and Mr. Vishnu Anil. They are from the architectural firm of Combined Resources, who can discuss with you, mostly Mr. Anil, quite frankly, that which we've designed. Gentlemen? No, we'll refer to the screen, Mr. Anil. Just stand up, give your name and address for the board.
Hello, I'm Vishnu Anil. I'm located at 155 First Street, Suite 102, Mineola.
Noel?
Noel Rogers at the same address, 155 First Street, with CRCD.
So, gentlemen, when I look at the elevation of the southeast corner of Broadway and West Cherry, I see that we have this recessed entrance on the corner. Can you explain how we came to that? It makes it more inviting and provides easier access than a squared corner, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Actually, once we saw the HD2 districts, and we saw that there's a main C street, a connector street, and then the residential street, we decided that that D connector is going to be the main focal point when people drive by. So since that's the only commercial three-story building, since everything else has residential on top, we decided to highlight that one component in order to make it pop.
Very good. Mr. Warner asked about rooftop component. Now, we actually have 3 separate rooftop components. Let's first start with the restaurant. Where is that rooftop component, and how is it going to be accessed?
Currently, the restaurant rooftop component is on the 3rd floor. It has basically an open sort of seating area, as you can see on the rendering to the top left. That's the only portion where we didn't put windows in. We may consider putting in retractable windows because during the wintertime, we wanted the space to be usable for whoever tenant decides to take that space.
But the roof that we see on the elevations, that's permanent, correct?
Yes, that's
Okay.
permanent.
Now, there are also in each building seating areas that are just for the use of the tenants. Could you explain
Yes.
that to the board?
I don't know if we could switch to the roof plan?
Could we switch to the roof plan, Nick? Please, for Nicholas, is Gina next to the front? Yeah, I know there are a lot of plans.
Yeah, it should be previous.
All right, no worries.
Oh, that's fine. Well, okay, on both roofs, we do have an amenity space, which is sort of like an open seating area. We kept it at 750 square feet in order to consider it an accessory space to the residential component, rather than turning into a whole new use, which will require a lot more planning. I think you could speak a little more about that, right?
Sure. Yeah, the 2 spaces, we kept them under the 750 square feet because then it quantifies as not part of a public assembly up there, but is accessory to the residential, and is not an additional space, it's just a supplementary space. You know, so we don't need, it's for the use strictly of the residential units. And we actually have one of those on each building, you know, so that they can, I guess, they could join, but it's really meant to be each building has their own space.
Thank you. Let's talk about the apartment building along West Cherry. So the access to the West Cherry apartment building, that's not from the exterior, correct? Is there a hallway component to it?
Yes, there is a hallway
Explain
component
to
to
the
it.
board, please.
On the ground floor, basically, we have, we could switch the elevation. Yeah, so this is the West Cherry building. So on the ground floor, this is facing West Cherry, this elevation. That's the only part where we didn't put any entrances. All the entrances are actually on the opposite side of the building, coming in from the parking lot. This is to keep from anyone accidentally wandering into the building, thinking that this is where the restaurant's located. We also kept all the main locations of the elevator and the stairs to the basement completely accessible, because that's where they're gonna be able to park and be able to access into their building without any interruptions.
And by removing doors on that side, you're removing it looking like a motel, for lack of a better word, correct?
Yes.
And if I may add something to that, we raised the finished floor level of that building up, I believe it's at a 2-foot elevation. And we did that for a couple of reasons. Primarily, you know, as you're walking down Cherry Street, you're not looking into somebody's living room. You know, it's like you see in a lot of these inner city areas type of thing. So it's nice from the inside and the outside. When you're inside, you're up above, and you know, you're not really, you don't feel you're on a sidewalk. You know, so that coupled with the vegetation and the trees that we're able to get in there, it's a nice buffer, you know, between the public walking by. And again, keep in mind the H2 zoning, one, as Tom said earlier, it's to get pedestrians in the area and generate that kind of atmosphere. And we felt that because of the residential nature of that building, that achieves that for us. Whereas we didn't do that on the commercial, because the retail you want on the ground level, you know, the retailer wants that to happen. They want to expose their inside and their wares and whatnot. So just a subtle difference, you know, that we think is very complementary to the use of the Cherry Street residential building.
I've looked at the apartment plans. It looks fairly standard to me, but what amenities are we providing in these apartments, say in terms of appliances, et cetera? What will each one have?
So currently for each apartment, so far we've put together a laundry dryer combo closet. That's one of the amenities we provide, as well as in the hallways, we provided sort of like a special, how do I want to say this? It's like a room where we could turn into either an exercise room or like a reading nook for on each floor that all the tenants could possibly use. And then there's also a trash chute that connects all the floors, so we're able to collect all the trash for each of the buildings.
I don't have any further questions of either gentleman unless the board does.
Do the apartments have little patios?
So, no, they
Exterior?
don't. We
No.
have French balconies,
Oh.
also known as Juliet balconies. It's just a nice architectural design.
Okay.
Something else that Vishnu and Noel put in, if you saw the retail component, they have canopies over the windows. Again, just a pleasing aesthetic
Okay.
to create a nice, inviting pedestrian-friendly environment.
The excuse me, the two-story restaurant that you said were gonna be in this building, is it from looking at the plans, it's gonna be on the corner of Cherry and Broadway?
Yes, that's
That's the
correct.
corner where it's gonna be?
Yep, that's
And
correct.
it's 2 floors, and then above that, there's an open area,
Well, so the ground floor is still a white box retail space.
right?
It's the second and third floor are,
Oh, so, but the
the
third
restaurant.
floor, it looks like it's open,
yes, part of it is open
okay?
for the open air, because the client hasn't finalized a specific tenant yet, but we're looking at one to take both floors. So having that rooftop space seems to be
Okay.
promising.
And if I may, and just to, explain a little bit on the openness, the concept was that you have indoor, outdoor activity up there in the summertime. It's sort of nice to sit out and relax, and, it's just a nice feature in that area, we
Right.
believe, And for the winter time, we are contemplating putting removable windows or whatever in there to enclose it a bit, that they can use it in the winter also. But really leaning towards the summertime in this nice weather, where you get a combination of indoor, outdoor sort of dining, which we feel is nice and very beneficial to the area.
So Omar Mahmood, being of the younger demographic, as I like to say, he's younger than me. Got a full head of hair. damn good. But he knows that rooftop dining is very attractive now.
Yeah.
And that, and by the way, I think he's 100% right, will attract more attention to the building. When people drive by or walk by, ooh, I want to go there. And when you go to that one establishment, now you're patronizing the retail establishment. Adds to the vibrancy of the area. Any other questions for Mr. Robinson?
You're proposing any signs for the retail and restaurant?
Yeah, we
What?
will, but they'll all be in conformance with the code. It's too early now to have tenants because literally
Right.
we're years.
But it would probably be on the building itself
On the
somehow?
building, yes,
or-
there will be
right.
facial signs, and they will
Okay.
fully conform with the code. All lighting on site, Mr. Castellano talked about it, will all be not only pursuant to code, but will be dark sky compliant as well.
Hey, you mentioned that there was trash chutes. Is that in both buildings?
Yeah, currently in
And
both buildings.
so I'm a tenant there on the third floor. I put my trash in the chute, it goes down. Is there a manager or someone that picks that up? And does the refuse area serve both the buildings?
Yeah, currently serves both the buildings. The client is currently looking at getting a site supervisor.
Okay.
Like a team that manages the
sure.
entire property.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Do you have a space for deliveries? I know you said you had one extra parking space, and I didn't see any loading zones. I'm just wondering about deliveries. I don't know if you anticipate that the delivery trucks will just stop in the street, or if you guys want to give them a dedicated space. I don't know if you put any thought into that.
Like for Amazon.
Amazon, 30 apartments, so 70 deliveries a day.
Yeah, I guess we could look at the plan. We don't have the plan. In the reception, like lobby area for both buildings, we do have like a mail room, parcel room.
Okay.
And then in the site plan, we do have a little. We created this little bump out here because we're trying to make a method in which the trucks, not only the garbage trucks are able to back up and pick up trash here, but also delivery trucks can
Okay.
have a little space in order to drop off parcels.
Did you say that the restaurant is gonna use that same that same trash enclosure area as all of the residents or whatever?
Currently, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, we have 2 bins that are, I believe, 10 pounds. 2 bins are dedicated to the residential, 1 bin's for the commercial. And then the rear side of the building. Currently at this face of the building, but depending on what kind of tenants we're looking at, we may be able to turn that into like the back face of the building and have them be able to have additional trash enclosures there.
I just, you know, because restaurants technically aren't the best dumpster keepers. So. I
Well,
would-
that's why we're not leaving it to their own devices.
Right.
We're going to have our own team.
Okay.
And what about a loading dock for moving in and out for tenants? Is there a spot for tenants to essentially bring U-Haul in to move in and out?
Well, technically, in the basement, yes.
We'll have Mr. Castellano answer that.
So just a couple things. I know the delivery thing came up as well. So I think the best location for it is really in front of that dumpster enclosure where that bump out is. If we need to hatch out that area, it does not obstruct the drive aisles. So this would be your FedEx, your Amazon, UPS can utilize that area, and then they'll, you know, if it's, you know, they got to go to building A or building B, they'll park the truck there, take the parcel out, and bring it into whichever building it is. Then the next question was, I'm sorry, what was the second one?
Like,
Moving, yeah, so moving in and out, I would think they would probably just use one of the available parking stalls, because if that apartment is vacant, they would bring, you know, a U-Haul truck and use one of the 19 by 9 feet stalls to park the U-Haul, unload it there, and then bring it into their apartment.
Is there clearance downstairs for U-Haul truck?
Yeah, so the basement, we also have to have clearance for a tow truck. You know, God forbid someone's car stalls on the basement floor, we'd have to get a tow truck down there. So we do have the height requirement to get a tow truck into the basement, which would also include a U-Haul truck.
But I mean, you know, when people are going to occupy these buildings, what if they bring a moving van? Where are they going to,
There may have to be some regulation on what size van they could bring in. I don't anticipate that someone's going to be bringing, one of those, 18-wheeler trucks. But if it's, a 30-foot box truck, I think they would have to just utilize the same space that an Amazon truck or a UPS truck, which is in front of that dumpster enclosure. And again, I think the staff would cooperate with anybody moving in to help facilitate that move and make sure it doesn't obstruct any of the ongoing activities.
Tom, anything else you want to
That
mention?
concludes my case.
Okay.
I had one question. You mentioned you
You
spoke to,
almost concluded my case.
you mentioned you spoke to the fire department, water and sewer districts. Did anyone reach out to any of the local civic associations?
There were civic meetings that Omar Mahmood took part in,
Okay.
but that was before my involvement in the project.
Long time ago, okay. And there's solar panels on, is that the garage roof? There's solar panels, is that correct?
Currently show it on the concrete ramp. We're exploring the idea of potentially putting on a roof, but we're still trying to secure an MEP engineer to do the
Okay.
calculations for us. So right now, safely, we thought, let's show them on the ramp for now.
On the ramp, so that's lower, there's not gonna be any glare to any neighbors or anything?
No, not,
That they're low?
not on the ramp. That's the only thing we were able to calculate
Okay,
and safely put, but
Okay.
we're gonna try and put on the roof.
okay,
Now I think that concludes my
Okay. All right, anything? No? Okay, thank you very much. Don't go away. Anybody wish to speak on the application?
Evening, gentlemen. My name is Robert Zener. I'm the Vice President of North Lake Hicksville Civic Association. And sounds great, looks great. I will say one thing. They've never reached out to any of us, neither the Garden Civic Association or the North Hicksville Association. We've seen some things come up through websites, but this never made any presentation to any of us. And I kind of find that a little disheartening. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anyone else wish to speak on the application? No? Okay. No, there being none, I'll entertain a motion on this application.
I'll make a motion that we approve the plans as submitted.
No additional,
No
right?
conditions.
A second?
I second that motion.
Second,
I second.
James? Okay, please call the roll.
Okay, on the motion by Member Warner, seconded by Member Castellane. Chairman Stanko.
Aye.
Member Warner,
Aye.
Member Castellane,
Aye.
Member Spinelli,
Aye.
Member Byrne is aye. Chairman, the motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the application. And thank you for your comments. And a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Nice job.